Hello and welcome to the LLG Grapevine podcast. You're listening to Helen McGrath, Head of Public Affairs, with your essential roundup of local government legal news. Climate change, protesters and COP26 have dominated the news, with the National Audit Office asking, are we doing enough, fast enough? The NAO quotes the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, stating, the world is now living through climate change, not watching it draw near. In risk speak, high impact, low likelihood events will become more likely with higher temperatures. Meanwhile, Jonathan Goldsmith, writing in the Gazette, asks what lawyers can do about climate change. Here we learn about the Legal Sector Alliance, which describes itself as an inclusive movement of law firms and organisations committed to working collaboratively to take action on climate change by reducing their carbon footprint and adopting environmentally sustainable practices. If you're interested in contractual clauses that help fight climate change, the Chancery Lane Project have published 70 model clauses, 46 glossary entries, and 10 model laws on their website, representing a collaboration from 740 legal professionals. Flagged in the LGA bulletin and reported in the Times, developers who hoard land face a new tax to help pay for the cost of the cladding crisis. Chancellor Rishi Sunak is to announce a levy on house builders with profits over 25 million in his autumn budget, with a tax expected to raise at least 2 billion over the next decade to pay for the removal of flammable cladding from high-rise buildings. Yesterday, the government published draft legislation for the residential property developer tax, which shows that ministers want to tax profits made on land which has secured planning permission, even if no homes have actually been built. The LGA says there are 1.1 million homes awarded planning permission which have not been built. The Health and Social Care Levy Bill had all of its stages in the House of Commons on Tuesday. The bill implements the government's commitment to increase funding for health and social care over the next 3 years. During the debate, Nikki Aiken, MP, used LGA analysis to highlight the funding gap facing social care. Closing the Financial Secretary to the Treasury, Jessie Norman MP, said that the levy is a progressive, long-term way to address a problem that has remained in front of us but unaddressed for far too long. The bill will have its second reading and remaining stages in the House of Lords on Monday, the 12th of October. The Alcohol Licensing Coronavirus Regulatory Easements Amendment Regulations 2021 came into force and include 3 measures intending to assist the recovery of the hospitality industry in response to the coronavirus pandemic. This instrument extends provisions in the Business and Planning Act 2020 to allow sales of alcohol for consumption off the premises to licensed premises that did not have the permission for a further year. It also amends the limits prescribed in Section 107 of the Licensing Act 2003 to increase the allowance for temporary event notices that a licensed premises can give from 15 to 20, and increases the maximum number of days on which temporary events may be held at such premises from 21 to 26. Finally, it amends the Licensing Act Permitted Temporary Activities Notices Regulations 2005 to prescribe a revised version of the form retrospectively of a temporary event notice and counter notice. Meanwhile, the High Court has ruled the Environment Agency must do more to protect a 5-year-old boy from landfill fumes that doctors say are shortening his life expectancy. In Richards and the Environment Agency, a High Court judge in a landmark judgment has said he was not satisfied that the EA was complying with its legal duty to protect the life of Matthew Richards, whose respiratory health problems are being worsened by fumes from a landfill site near his home in Silverdale, near Newcastle under Lyme. And finally, in an article on the local government lawyer website concerning housing disrepair claims and costs, is a warning that social landlords who do not challenge costs are potentially overpaying by tens of thousands of pounds. Author Alex Bagnall explains how authorities can secure significant reductions with practical considerations. Amongst detailed advice, he flags that a typical fee for an expert's report should be in the region of £500 to £1,000, Claims which are higher than this level should be viewed, he says, with caution. That's it from me. You can read all the articles mentioned in this week's podcast and many more by going to Bulletin 36, available now on the LLG website. Thank you for listening.